go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Ithaca podcast, the local podcast for entertainment in the greater Ithaca, New York area. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sean, your host, and joining me is my co-host Pete. This week we have some great events to tell you about, from local concerts at the State Theater to a Cannabis Cup at nearby Trumansburg Fairgrounds. We'll also be exploring the breathtaking beauty of Bell Station, a hiking spot in nearby Lansing that's a true hidden gem. Let's get started.
Yeah, my man Sean, what is up?
Not much. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Great to be here today. You've picked out a good location for us. You want to tell everybody a little bit about where we're at today?
Yeah, we're at another picturesque sunset at Salt Point Brewery in Lansing, New York. Here we are outside enjoying this Indian summer. What was that? October 4th, and it's about 80 some odd degrees.
Yeah, I think it was said 84 in my car, something crazy.
Jeez. All right, yeah. We're outside doing this podcast, enjoying the sun and good weather. So yeah, man, what's going on? Like, what's coming up this week?
Yeah, so as usual, I had a great time kind of researching what was going on in Ithaca this week. So first, we'll start with the State Theater.
Okay.
We've got Steve Hackett, Genesis Revisited. That's on Friday, October 6th.
Nice.
And for those of you who aren't familiar, Steve Hackett is an English guitarist and songwriter. He gained prominence as the lead guitarist of the progressive rock band Genesis. He was with the band from 71 to 77. And this tour marks the 50th anniversary of the legendary Genesis album Foxtrot, which in 1972 was pivotal in establishing the band as a major force in British rock.
All right.
So you can plan on hearing songs from this album as well as other songs that he wrote during his time with Genesis. So
Awesome.
for all the classic prog rock fans out there, that's going to be a great show.
That sounds dope.
And then this one I'm really excited about. I could not believe that we actually had this going on here because there hasn't been much marketing about it. This is the first I heard of it today when I started researching. There is actually a New York Harvest Festival and Freedom Fair up at Trumansburg Fairgrounds. It's a celebration of cannabis culture. And this event sounds
Please go in detail with this.
Yeah, I mean, this event sounds pretty amazing. It's at the Trumansburg Fairground, which hosts the Grassroots Festival, as everybody knows. And they've got multiple stages. They've got a diverse musical lineup. They've got a Shakedown Street vendor village, fine art gallery. They have a public and celebrity cannabis cup, an edible cup. We've got workshops and activist and educational speakers. It's family friendly. They're going to have a drum circle, farmers market. There is on-site tent camping and vehicle camping.
What?
And so it's supposed to be great people and good vibes. They've got 30 bands. They're using 3 stages. The headliner is Skeleton Keys, which features a supergroup lineup. It features Alex Mazur, founder of Skeleton Keys and Gratefully Yours. Aaron Manger from the Disco Biscuits, Billy and the Kids.
Nice name.
We got Chris J. English from the Sam Grishman Project, also in Funk Nut, out of Rochester. We've got Tom Parisi from Omnis Seapods and Lo Faber. So just really cool that they got this lineup together. It's a bit of a super group there. Other bands that are playing this weekend are Dogs in a Pile, the Garcia Project, and Sophistafunk. So if you're interested in checking that out, go online. Looks like it's going to be a great event. They have a cannabis cup where everyone can vote, and that's happening at 4:20 p.m. on Sunday.
That's awesome.
So you can vote
420, of course.
Yeah, so you can vote for the best herbs and the best edibles. It's interesting about this event is they've been running it as kind of a protest for legalization for the past several years, and this is like the first time that they've actually been a company or like at a legit festival.
This is the first Cannabis Cup.
No, I think they've been doing it for a few years now.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's been at the same location, but they have some guest speakers there, which was pretty interesting. There's Tim Tyler, who's an American who was sentenced to life in prison for possession and distribution of LSD under the federal 3 strikes law. In August 2016, after serving 24 years and 27 days behind bars, he was granted clemency by President Barack Obama. So he was just released back in 2018. So he'll be there to share his stories. Wow. Rob Robinson, co-founder and co-director of the New York Cannabis Alliance, will be there as well. He's hosting and producing his own fundraising events and festivals, strongly rooted in cultural activism and cannabis law reform. So He's a former director of New York Normal and 2-time High Times freedom fighter. He also serves as senior activist for New York Cannabis Action Network.
Wow, that's a lot of info.
Yeah, it is a lot of information, but I was so excited about it.
Yeah. That's really cool. The guest speakers, some big names.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim Tyler, man, I can't even fathom, like, you hear those situations about, like, people, like, serving a jail sentence, like, basically, like, a generation, like, you know.
It's a lifetime, just about.
Yeah. Like a significant percentage of someone's life behind bars, and be, like, granting, like, clemency or, like, absolved of something, and be like, I don't, you think of, like, Nelson Mandela,
right?
You know, like, it's a great example. But just, like, it's great that, like, Tim Tyler is, like, out and about, like, still, like, advocating and, like, speaking, and instead of just being like, I get screwed over.
Right.
Screw the world, like,
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
done with the world.
I'm
like,
sure he has a great story to tell, so that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
So I did want to talk a little bit about some events that are coming up out of town.
Sure.
Last week we talked about, or a couple weeks ago we talked about the Wonderland Forest, which is a new venue, a festival location out in Lafayette, New York. They're doing a lot of great stuff out there. Just a few weeks ago they had Twiddle host a festival there. This weekend they are doing a Bisco Land. So for fans of the Disco Biscuits, you'll be stoked to know that they're going to be playing 2 sets there this weekend. Lotus is also playing twice. Other bands include Emancipator, Papadosio, Sunsquabi. So I think that's going to be great. It's the first ever Bisco Land, so it looks like the Disco Biscuits are actually hosting their own festival. They've been around for a long time. I've seen them a bunch of times.
Okay.
It's going to take place across 2 stages at Wonderland Forest, and they have camping there. And that's up in central New York's Apple Valley, for those of you who are familiar with the area.
Absolutely, Apple Mecca.
And from their website, they say, Wonderland Forest's mission is to create new connections through a love of music and nature and a pristine landscape of lush forests and spectacular waterfalls and glorious vistas. So that's pretty exciting. One more event that's happening, not necessarily close to Ithaca, but has its roots in Ithaca, is the Shikori Hills Grassroots Festival. So, as most of our listeners know, the Finger Lakes Grassroots Festival is here every year in July. They have 2 other festival sites. They have one in Shikori Hills, North Carolina. They have another one down at Virginia Key Park down in Miami. But this weekend, a lot of our friends who are in bands locally are traveling down to Shikori Hills Grassroots, and they're going to be performing all weekend. There's, it's 4 nights camping. I think they've been doing this for something like, I got to say 15 years. I know that's not exactly right, but that festival's been going on for a long time.
For a while.
They have one in the spring, one in the fall, and the fall festival is this weekend. So
Gotcha.
While we're on the topic of
Very
grassroots, I also wanted to mention that the Finger Lakes Grassroots Festival tickets are on sale as of this month, and they are at their lowest price of the season. Actually, they're only $129 for a 4-day pass if you buy it in the month of October. Then it goes up to the holiday rate of $139 in November, and then the early bird December through May 1st is $154. It goes all the way up to $184 at the gate. So if you already know that you're going to Grassroots, now's the time to jump on that ticket. I always have friends who are like, I don't have $200 for a ticket. Yeah. But if you plan ahead.
Always plan ahead.
Yeah.
Save money.
It's a great deal.
Get your ticket early.
That's right.
If something happens, you can what?
You can sell your ticket, for what you paid for it.
Yeah, get your money back.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So, that pretty much covers it for the out-of-town events and the in-town events. Although I did have some under-the-radar of indie events that are going on.
What do you got, buddy?
We've got Sound Pressure Mondays. That's down at Deep Dive. In fact, all these events are at Deep Dive. Okay. That's hosted by multi-instrumentalist Angelo Paradiso. And Angelo invites a rotating cast of characters that perform a range of instruments, including modular synths. So that's going to be a pretty cool event. That happens every Monday. They've been doing it for a few weeks. Okay. So he's really great about getting local musicians in to join him on stage. And
that's a name that you probably hear a lot on this podcast.
That's right. So there's also tonight, Wednesday, October 4th, is Drew Martin's The People's Jam. Our friend Ryan said he's going to be hitting up that. They're also doing something interesting. They're doing concert cinema at Deep Dive over the course of the weekend.
Can you explain that concert cinema?
Yeah, so basically they're streaming shows on their big screen there. So some of the shows that they're going to be streaming are Burning Spear, Khruangbin, Bob Marley, Billie Eilish. I think they actually have a Taylor Swift concert.
Well, as you know, Taylor Swift is in all the news.
Yeah, so I've been trying not to give that any credit, but hey, they put it on there, so I felt.
I guess kudos for her for being on everyone's feed and everyone's newscasts and podcasts and.
Yeah. So and then they're also doing a silent film festival at Deep Dive during the day and late afternoon, and that's I believe Thursday through Sunday.
No kidding.
And the festival is a treat to attendees for an exciting blend of feature-length films and short films, video art and music videos, roundtable discussions, exhibits, and performances. And they're all exploring the interconnectivity and accessibility of music and motion pictures. So a really unique event going on there. So that pretty much wraps it up for what's going on in Ithaca and the greater area this weekend that I was able to come up with.
Yeah, thanks, Pete, for giving all the info out to our listeners. You gave us a lot of options, a lot of stuff on the radar, and a lot of stuff that's coming up too, which is awesome to hear. It wouldn't be. We're at a brewery, so I think it'd be prudent to taste their beers.
Absolutely. We're here at Salt Point Brewing.
Yep.
They have a band coming on a little bit here this evening, so we're looking forward to that. And yeah, we've got 4 beers here. They've got these nice wood log serving trays. And I was hoping you could do the honors and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be tasting here.
Sure. So the first one we have is Salt Point's Hefeweizen, or Hefe for short, a German-style beer, dry wheat. So, dig in. We work our way from left to right. Hefeweizens are popular around this time of year, Oktoberfest. That's something I forgot to mention. This Saturday, Salt Point Brewery's having their own Oktoberfest.
Okay, very cool.
So I think it's from noon to 6. I think that's right, hour-wise.
Okay.
But if you're around and you like beer and you like a good time, stop by Salt Point Brewery.
Awesome. Are you going to be here this weekend?
It's a possibility, and I may or may not bring out the lederhosen again.
Okay. Well, I think if you're going to come, that should be required.
Right. That's my entrance ticket.
All right. Well, yeah, let's give this a taste here. Okay, it's good. It's light.
Yep.
It's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to say about this one?
It tastes like a Hefe, which makes me happy.
Right. They nailed it.
Yeah, it makes me think of fall, even though today's kind of like an Indian summer fall.
Right.
But I love fall flavors, and I love my Hefes.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So our second one we have here is their Cedar Creek Pilsner.
Okay. Do you know the origin of this one in terms of what the Cedar Creek reference is? Is that something nearby here?
I don't know.
Is that the creek here next to us that we're...
I don't know.
All right. It's got a little bit of kind of nuttier flavor to it.
Yeah. Another light beer. Golden color. It's drinkable.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, so this is moving. We're moving right down the line here. We're on to our third one. This one is a little cloudier than the other two.
Yep. We are moving to our Dear Uncle Hazy IPA. Or, I'm sorry, Uncle Hazy. Yeah, Uncle Hazy IPA.
Yeah, they definitely nailed it with the hazy. It's got that cloudy look to it.
This is like a New England style IPA. Definitely got like that orange juice haze to it.
Yeah.
Some fruit up front, and then a little bite at the end, a little clean bite at finish. It's not an easy drinker.
Yeah, so good.
I feel like that's going to be the theme this evening.
Right. All right, so our last one here is a dark brown beer, as I'm describing what it looks like.
Yeah, so this is the dry stout, which you start seeing stouts and porters this time of year as the temperature drops. And this will be a little... I'm a little curious about it. I'm sure the ABV, the alcohol content, is probably going to be a little higher.
Right.
But yeah, let's try it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can definitely taste.
Yeah.
There's more alcohol in this one.
Yeah. It's super dark. It's pretty clean stout. Like you taste a lot of it in your mouth, in your palate, but after you swallow it, you don't have that lingering like stout flavor in your mouth.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I would agree with
nice.
that. Yeah. And all these beers are smooth, right? There's none of them have like an overpowering taste to them.
Yeah,
but
clean,
they're
simple.
flavorful.
I definitely highly recommend the beers at Salt Point. And also the food. The food's really good. So if you get hungry later, let's check out the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you know about the history of this place? It's only been around for a few years, if I recall correctly.
I'm trying to think. Did they open up before COVID or after COVID?
Yeah, I got it.
So like, I'm saying when I say like pre or post COVID, I'm talking about 2019.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. So yeah, they've got a beautiful outdoor area. They have a newly built stage. When we got in here today, the cars were just pouring in. The place is filled in, and it's like I said, it's family friendly. The food's great, so we're happy to be here.
So it's Wednesday, and people outside and probably people inside. You said like it's 100+ people here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, and it's still early.
Yeah, it's still early, and the show has begun. So yeah, if you're in Lansing or if you're in Ithaca and you want to get out of the town, quick 10-minute trip from Ithaca. Definitely worth a visit if you have not been there yet.
That's right. And in fact, it was funny when I was looking at the list of venues that you suggested for us. You gave me this nice long list that each week we try and find a new place. And I was reaching out to the guys on my group chat that I work with and saying, hey, let me know what shows are going on that you guys are hitting up. And I said, we're going to go up to Salt Point today. And they said, I was hoping I could rope you guys into coming to Salt Point. So it was already on our our friends' radar. So it's definitely a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this brings us to our third segment of the day, and we'd like to close with you telling us a little bit about a good hiking spot in the greater Ithaca area.
Absolutely.
And what do you have to talk with us about today?
So I figured, in the spirit of being in Lansing today, I'm going to suggest Bell Station.
Okay. I'm not familiar, so tell me more.
Which is cool. I would say it's in North Lansing, almost to Kings Ferry. It's right on Cayuga Lake on the east side. So it's the hike trail is probably 2 miles, super flat, super easy, but it's all along Cayuga Lake. The best time to go is probably in the evening. Like right now, you probably get a really a pretty dope sunset.
Okay, and so you can see the water from the trail
the whole time.
Okay, the whole time, even in the summer when the foliage is all filled in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so cool.
I think I say discover, but I mean I found out about like maybe early summer. It's a great place if you have a kayak or like a floaty. The water is really clear and pristine there.
Okay.
I definitely go in the summertime. I definitely go in the fall time. It's probably a safe, easy hike in the winter time. I've actually done lunch and dinner on this trail.
Okay.
I made my makeshift fire pit, and I cooked some burgers. I've made coffee. I drank beer on sunset, and the view is amazing. And I don't think it's really that popular, just because it's kind of like out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
But it's totally worth it. Every time I've gone there, it has been crowded with people. It's not like too busy, so that's another cool aspect.
And is that on the water itself? Like, can you wade in the water? Are you on the water, or is it more of like a cliff?
No, you are basically ground level with the water.
Okay.
So if you wanted to go swimming, you could just walk out. If you wanted to throw your kayak, you could just throw your kayak out.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you get there exactly?
I think you take north on 34B. And the exact address.
That's fine. People can look it up.
Okay.
But it's on. It's off of 34B.
Right.
Okay.
So if you're going north toward Aurora Brewery or Long Point State Park, it's on 34.
Okay.
But before that.
Okay, great.
I'd probably say maybe 35 minutes from Ithaca.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a great spot.
Yeah.
And do they allow camping there?
I don't know.
Have you ever done a stealth camping there?
I have not, but I've been tempted, and it was definitely one of my thoughts where this is an amazing spot to camp at.
Right.
So actually, that's a great question, because there's all these spots that I hike at, and that's a great camping spot, and I'm like, can I camp there?
Right.
And I don't know who to reach out to and say, hey, is it okay if I camp here or not? Like, who owns this land? Like, if I camp here, I'm gonna knock on my tent door and being like, hey, you can't camp here.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to try it and see what happens.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I think stealth camping is where it's at.
Oh, absolutely.
I will mention, you talked about, cooking a little bit with that cooking stove that you have. A friend of mine works at a metal shop down in Elmira, New York, and he
cool.
made one of those collapsible fire pits that you're mentioning with those
nice.
cooking stoves. So he had a friend of his show him a design of one, and then he actually made one.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I will share that with you. I'm going to get one from him and have you check it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, one of the best investments, one of the best $20 I've ever spent in my life.
Right. All right, good stuff. I did want to mention to our listeners that we are on most of the social platforms right now. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on iTunes. We're working on getting approved on Google Podcast. For some reason, they're dragging their feet. All the other ones were able to get us approved within minutes last week. So hopefully Google Podcast will be uploaded there soon. But even if you have an Android phone, you can still stream the show. You can go to pulseofithaca.podbean.com and you can actually stream it directly from there, even though we're not on that platform specifically. So
awesome. Thanks, Pete.
And that wraps up another episode of the Pulse of Ithaca podcast. Thank you all for tuning in and spending time with us. A big shout out to all of our listeners in Ithaca and around the world. You make this show possible. I'm your host, Pete, and of course, I've been joined by the ever insightful Sean. Remember to mark your calendars this weekend for all the events that we talked about. And if you loved what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform.
Please do.
If you've got an event or story or local favorite that you want us to cover, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Until the next time, keep your finger on the pulse of Ithaca and make the most of this amazing place we call home. Take care, everyone.